and welcome to the Why I Help podcast. My name is Joni Siegel, and I am the host for this podcast. And we are really enjoying finding people who are doing good things. You know, the mass media really tries to make it look like a very threatening environment out there. And I'll tell you just a small story. We went out to Mother's Day lunch yesterday with our younger son and his wife. And I unknowingly had dropped my cell phone somewhere, probably in the parking lot. And someone actually turned it in. And the lady at the restaurant came up and said, "Did you lose your phone?" And sure enough, it was my phone. And, somebody said, "Oh, it's just good that they didn't keep it or try to sell it." The majority of people just don't do that. The majority of people are nice and honest and have integrity, and they're good people. And that's what this podcast is dedicated to, because we know the majority of people out there are good people doing good things, and that's what we're focusing on. Now, if you listened to our last episode, it was with a gentleman named John Kearney, who is the CEO of a company here in the Tampa Bay area, but he also sits on 4 different nonprofit boards. And one of those boards was founded by his wife, Sandy. So today we're going to interview Sandy Kearney. She has 35 years experience in management and office solutions. As a consultant in office solutions, she would go into an office, identify the weaknesses, implement policies, evaluate the staff, write job descriptions, conduct management meetings between the staff and their respective managers. She really knows how to organize and to debug situations within organizations. Her passion for children has led her to the place she is today. She's the president and founder of Angels Against Abuse, which started 16 years ago with a group of 4 individuals, which now has a membership of 90 volunteers. Their mission is to make a difference in the lives of children and youth who have been abused and neglected, and give them hope for a better tomorrow. I like that purpose. Let's talk to Sandy Kearney and hear more about Angels Against Abuse. Okay. Sandy Kearney, thank you so much for being willing to talk to us on the podcast and tell us your story. I'm super excited to hear about Angels Against Abuse.
Thank you so much, Joni. I'm excited to share it with you.
Awesome. So when you were growing up, what was your background like? Did you do charity work when you were a child? Did your family do charity work?
Well, I had wonderful parents. I still have my mom. She's 91. And she's like, I let her manage me because I'm so busy all the time. She takes care of the other stuff. She's a great mom. But I was so loved that I think I've always liked kids. I've liked babies. Always trying to do something nice for people. That was just kind of the way my dad was and my mom. They were just very giving with generous hearts. And it just kind of flowed over into, kind of God opened up a path for me to take, and I took it.
Right. Here's a personal question. Did you babysit when you were little?
Not really. I was always so active. I was a professional roller skater, not the derby, but just a professional roller skater. What they do on ice, I did on roller skates. Wow. I was always very active, but I would babysit my cousins. Things. I was the oldest one in the family, so I guess you could say I did babysit.
Yeah, I only asked that question because I didn't babysit at all. I think I one time babysat a little boy, and his behavior was such that I didn't know how to deal with it, that I just never babysat again. Yeah. Well, but it was really a disadvantage when I had children because I kind of didn't really know what I was doing,
Yeah.
And anyway, so I was just curious if you'd done that, because I know you have quite the love for children.
Yeah.
So can you say how you met John? How you guys?
Sure. I had moved. I was born and raised in St. Petersburg, and then I lived in West Palm Beach for a long time, and then I moved back over here because I wanted to be back in St. Pete, and I actually went to work for him.
Oh.
And he was going through a difficult time, and I was there, and so we just became best friends, and then later on, husband and wife.
Awesome. I love that. And I know that he's been involved in several different charities.
Oh yeah, he's
were you involved in some of those before you moved on to Angels Against Abuse?
yeah. I know he's in so many different charities, KML. I think he told you about that, Florida Sports Hall of Fame. So
Yeah.
I've been kind of in there with him, doing whatever he asked me to do. And I've attended a lot of the events, and they're wonderful.
Awesome. Yeah, I loved all of the charities. So, how did you get involved? What motivated you to start Angels Against Abuse?
Well, I was always in the corporate world. I worked hard since I was about 16. And I always liked to go into offices and make them better. And so that became my career, solutions expert. And so about 17 years ago, I decided I had enough of the corporate world. And John said it was okay for me to go do something else. And so I got an invitation to go to the Sally House, which is the Salvation Army. It was an emergency shelter for kids from 0 to 11 at that time. And so I walked in the front door of this awful looking place, and it was hidden from everybody because nobody wanted parents to find out about it so that they could come try to steal the kids back. And as soon as I walked in, I just felt like I got goosebumps because I felt like I was there for a reason. And so what had
I'm
happened?
sorry to interrupt you. I so want to hear this story, but I have to tell you, it gives me goosebumps when you have to consider that the place needs to be so nondescript and ugly, if you will, so that parents will not come and steal their children back. It's
Yeah,
such a foreign concept to me. I had an upbringing like you did, and
yeah,
it's tough. Anyway, I'm sorry I interrupted.
yeah. Well, and I just, I think at that point, I felt like I could do something, I could make a difference. And so we started a capital campaign with the Salvation Army. And our first year out, we had our very first fundraiser, where we had not had our 501c3 at that point, and we raised $52,000 just based on 4 women who decided they wanted to make a difference. And so the Salvation Army, of course, they wanted us to just hold on, let me get rid of this. The Salvation Army wanted us to just kind of stay with them, but we wanted to spread our wings. And so we helped them build a $3 million complex. And we did in the first year like 100,000.
Wow.
But a lot of that was like we had angels that were making comforters and curtains and helping to decorate the house. It took about 2.5 years for it to be built. It's beautiful. It's an absolutely beautiful facility, but it changes because the system changes. So it started out with 0 to 11. And when we were done, almost immediately it went to teenagers. We built it for all Dr. Seuss size kids, little kids. And then the teenagers come in and it kind of got messed up. And then now it's back to kids of all ages, which is kind of dangerous because you got 3 pods and you've got older kids staying with little kids, and it's just not safe. But when we spread our wings in the community, got our own 501c3 in 2008, and we've just been growing since.
That's awesome. But I have to take you back because your husband told us about at least one child that you encountered when you first went in there. I believe it was
Yeah.
the Sally House, and you need to tell that story.
Yeah. Well, when I walked through the front doors, of course, there was 18 little kids. And there's one little guy, he was 4. And he ran up to me and he grabbed my legs and he says, "If you take me home, I'll be real good." Well, I get goosebumps when I tell that story now because it's just so sweet. And they all like perform because they want you to take them home with you. And so when we had our first fundraiser at the Treasure Island Yacht Club, Judge Sullivan was there, and the little 4-year-old, and he was being adopted by a dentist and his wife. And so the final adoption was read at the gala.
Oh
And it was
my.
amazing. And the little 4-year-old actually spoke. He grabbed the mic and he was a talkative little cutie pie. And and so
Oh
and
my.
those are the kind of stories that just keep me going.
Yes.
you
Yes.
know and so I mean, and then like about 4 or 5 years ago, there's a story just resonates with me forever, because this kind of tells it all about what we do. I got a call from the Guardian Ad Litem program, which is one of our community partners, and they had asked me if I would help. They said there's a young man that's in high school who he can't eat, he won't smile, he won't talk very well, and he's bullied. And they said that he needs a very expensive surgery. It was like $8,000. Well, at that time, we did not have that kind of revenue to support something like that. And I said, well, let's do a match. I said, go talk to the dentist and go talk to some of our community partners. So Eckerd Community Alternatives, which is now Eckerd Kids, the dentist, Suncoast Voices, and the Angels, we all matched funds. We did a little more just because it was kind of like the request had come to us. We did the surgery on the young man. The dentist cut his price by 50%. And so after he had his surgery and after he had his dental work done, he gave this big smile and he wrote this note, and which I read at one of my events. And he said, "Dear Angels Against Abuse," he says, "I just wanted you to know that you changed my life." And he says, "And I want to make a difference in other children's lives like you did mine." So he went to dental school.
Oh, wow.
And so he became a dentist. Yes.
Oh, wow.
So that's an awesome story. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You change the lives of children, and there's really nothing better to do. Do you know?
Yeah. I mean, there's thousands of kids that we make a difference. We never see who they are, but we know that we're there for them when a request comes in, because we mostly deal with the community partners. And that's, I think, one of the reasons that the Angels has been very successful is that we have the ability to change with the system. You know, the Tallahassee and the government is constantly making changes in these kids' lives. Mostly not good changes, but they're changes because they want to try something to see if it works, and it doesn't. They try something else, and the kid is the one that suffers, unfortunately. But what we're there for is to be the Band-Aid. But just recently, we joined with Directions for Living with their pilot program called the First Five program, which is now Baby Cat. And it's been so successful because her focus was on pre-K children from 4 to 8. And so what we did is they call us the secret sauce, because we provided the clinical consultant who is the glue with the child, the teacher, and the parent. And then we provide resources to the parents to get them to buy into this program. Because if you're giving them something, they're more willing to work with us. And so last year and the beginning of this year, we've been able to keep 300 kids out of the child welfare system. So we are accomplishing our mission as wanting to break the pattern of abuse. So we've done that. This will change for generations.
That's amazing. I can't thank you enough for doing that. And I think what you're doing, you said you're the Band-Aid, but you're more than that, because when you build a foundation so that maybe the abuse stops, so the child doesn't have to go into the system, I mean, that's way more important. I'm not saying, okay, you have to provide diapers when an infant is taken out of care. I get that. But this program is making it so that maybe the next infant that comes into that family doesn't have to be taken out of the family. And that's quite a multi-prong, and how can I put it? It's really taking responsibility for the whole of that system, if you will, the whole of the family dynamic.
Right.
I think that's huge. Absolutely huge.
Well, and I think, we'll develop programs and they'll become so successful that we say, okay, we've done our part. Then another agency will come and take that program, which is a huge compliment to the Angels, because that means they want to sustain it and keep it going. And then there's some programs that just don't work, not because we're not doing a good job. It's just that the system won't buy into it. So you have to change it. And so that's what we've done. We're in constant change mode. And I've got a team, which I call Team Awesome, of about 5 women who just make my life amazingly easier. I mean, they're there for the Christmas presents. They're there for the event setup. They're there for everything I need, pretty much. And I've got a great board. You saw the board bio that I sent you. I've got a wonderful board. And I'm just blessed. I just feel like I'm as blessed as the kids we help.
That's awesome. And you get to do what you're passionate about and change, you're changing lives and you're
Yeah.
helping probably one of the most underserved areas of our population, which is the children. Do you
Right.
know? And I know that there's all different kinds of organizations that try to do different things. But the other thing that your husband had said when he was on the podcast, and it's the same thing you're saying, is that you're able to change when the system changes. You don't have to do board resolutions and have lots of administrative time. If something changes, you can just change with it and adapt. And that's amazing that you guys do that.
Yeah. And, I mean, to me, that's the key. And we've also spent a lot of time developing relationships with the community partners that we work with, because they'll come to us with a request and, they don't have to wait because we don't get government funding. We raise our own money. So the government can't tell me how to spend it.
Right.
And so if I get a request, it goes to the board. If it's over $500, if it's under $500, I have the authority to say, okay, we're going to do it. Cause I'm kind of like the boss because I started it, but you still have to answer to your board.
Oh,
and so, but the thing is that there's no waiting, because we feel like if a crisis is happening for a child, you need to get on it and get it done.
Yeah,
you don't want to wait a week or two, because then what happens to the child?
You can't say to a 2 or 3-year-old that's in a bad situation, oh, sorry, hang on. We'll come get you in a couple days. That's not going to fly. Right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Like Campbell Park Elementary and King's Elementary, those were two very difficult schools, low academic, and a lot of homelessness. And so when we went on that project with Directions for Living, just giving these kids uniforms so that they could go to school with something new, and a new backpack and school supplies, everything new, turn their life around. I mean, all of a sudden they were these little kids that were so full of anger and rage that were like being turned around. And then teaching the teachers how to work with the kids rather than be frustrated with the kids, and then pulling the parents into the into the whole thing too. It honestly it's changing lives. And from what I understand, this may be funded 100% in the months ahead, which means that we've done our job and we can go on to something else.
Wow. That's huge. Now, are those two elementary schools, are they in St. Pete or are they Tampa?
South side is Campbell Park,
okay,
and north side is Kings Highway.
Okay.
So they're in two different segments, but they're both rated about the same.
Okay.
So this teacher has been able to bring them, to elevate them.
Wow.
So they're no longer as bad as they were.
We're
excited about it. We're so excited.
I think it's huge. I think it's very exciting. And once again, kind of like I said before, although I don't think I said it exactly right, you're including parents in the mix. And I think so often, especially when a child is going to get taken away from a parent, nothing's done sometimes with the parent. And ultimately, it would be really good if the parent can get their child back at some point.
Right.
Now, I know that there are extenuating circumstances if there's drug addiction or crimes or whatever. But, I just wonder if maybe the larger percentage isn't just parents who are going through a really rough time.
Well, especially now with COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, there's tempers, and the kids are at home all day long. They're not in school. So it's created a whole nother area of problems.
Yeah.
And so, and during COVID, we never missed a beat. We kept going. We kept providing things, and it was hard because we couldn't have our fundraiser. It was more difficult to raise money, but there was a lot of generosity that was coming our way, especially at Christmas, because Christmas is such a tough time for these young people.
Yep.
Actually, from 0 all the way to 21. Some of these kids have never had a Christmas or a birthday party, so we make that happen. So we did 350 kids this year.
Wow.
And if you saw that one packet I sent you, you saw the gifts. I mean, and my mom, bless her heart, she wraps most of those gifts.
Oh.
And yeah, and so but everybody would adopt kids or adopt 2 or 3 kids and families. And so it was just so exciting. It's such a beautiful time of the year because you know that you're giving a child a day to remember, something to get them through the tough times.
Yep. Yes, exactly. Can you talk a little bit about your center and what happens at your
Oh,
center?
yeah, the Angel Center was a vision that the Angels had had for a long time. And everything happens when it's supposed to, but I'm an impatient person. So, I want to have it yesterday. But
My husband will tell you I'm the same way.
Yeah, but a couple had left us their money when they passed. And we were able to start this Angel Center about 3 years ago. I'm going on 4 years ago, actually. And Clearwater Marine Aquarium came and partnered with us. They did all of the art in the center around Dolphin Tail 1 and 2 because we wanted it to be a standalone place where parents wouldn't feel threatened, to go into. It'd be like a neutral environment. And we wanted to make it so that it was child friendly, incredibly clean because, I'm a clean freak when it comes to things like that. And be age appropriate. So we have 3 rooms. One is an infant room from 0 to 3 years old. And then we got 4 to 8. And then we have a large sibling group with kids that'll come in and they'll be at all ages.
Sandy, you froze up just for a minute. Go back to 4 to 8 and go from there.
Okay. We have the winter room, which is 4 to 8. And then we have the Rufus room, which is a large sibling group because some parents will come in with 6 or 7 kids. And so we'll have to put them in this room. And then we have that set up for kids that start young and they can go up to older. And they have games and books and DVDs and everything is age appropriate. Everything is clean and sanitized. And the parents just love it. They really do. They think it's beautiful. And I've had a little bit of difficulty with COVID because it's hard to get the case managers back to work. We're trying to get things back to normal. So we've had a lot of downtime as far as our center being as full as we would like it. But my girl that runs it, she was a young lady that had aged out of foster care. She had been in and out of foster care from the time she was 2. And she's one of the 3%ers that went for a triple degree. She's got her bachelor's. Wow. And God bless her, she just became a mom. So she's on maternity leave right now. But she supervises a lot of the visits just so the parents can visit their kids.
And they have to have our supervisor there, right?
You have to, yeah. Well, even if she doesn't do supervised visits, she has to monitor what's going on in each of the rooms. So we have cameras in every room. We've got cameras everywhere. It's a very, very safe and beautiful place to come. I would love to give you and Steve a tour.
We are going to come. We're definitely going to do that. How long do the families or the kids, how long do they typically stay in the center?
It's anywhere from 2 to 3 hours. Okay. Is each visit. Okay. And sometimes we'll have a mom go into the infant room and she'll just sit and hold the baby for 3 hours. Just sit there and hold it. And then a lot of the parents that come, you kind of get the impression that they're not going to get their kids back. And you wonder why they're still allowing visits. But the judges make the decision. I mean, I don't always agree with what the judges do. That's why I'm not a guardian ad litem anymore. I did that for 6 years and I was getting too frustrated with the judges.
I can see how that would be. I looked into being a guardian ad litem. I didn't actually do it. I think it's a great concept, but yeah, I would have a little bit of a problem if a judge didn't go the way I felt they should.
Well, and we spend the time with the kids.
And the judge doesn't.
We're the more stable person in that child's life versus even the case managers, because there's a tremendous turnaround time for the case managers, because they're usually young people out of the college, and I don't think they know what they're getting into. And so they'll get 25, 30 cases and they just, it's almost like you're setting them up to fail.
Right.
And they just don't stay.
Yeah. If you had to estimate, since you've started Angels Against Abuse, how many children and families would you just guess that you've helped over the years?
Let's see. Well, we've been doing it 16 years. Oh my gosh. I'd have to say thousands.
Well, yeah, because you do the 350 Christmas gifts. So maybe it started smaller, but yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Just, and you never know where this child's going to end up someday, but I hope that that child understands there was an angel in his life somewhere, her life,
I'm sure.
because yeah, you just go in it blind, and you just know that you're making a difference.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Sandy, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. Before we end, is there anything you want to add? I definitely need contact information, how people can contact you if they need you.
Yeah, it's angelsagainstabuse.org is our website. And I try to keep that website current with all of our information. And I do monthly newsletters. I think I sent you one just so you could get a feel for what we do.
Yes, ma'am.
So everything is on our website. We have our Blue Ribbon Gala coming up. It's been postponed 4 different times, and we feel in October it's going to really happen. So it's going to be it's going to be a night to remember and a celebration of kind of getting back to normal. So we've got our fingers crossed that we can raise some good money.
And that's on your website about the Blue Ribbon Gala?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sandy. You
Thank
are making
you.
a difference in so many lives, and they're definitely going to remember there was an angel in their life.
I hope so. Thank you, Joni, so much.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview. Definitely, Sandy Kearney is an angel, and she's got some angels working with her, and they are all about improving the lives of children, but also improving the survivability of the family unit, which I think is sometimes maybe neglected a little bit. I don't know. But anyway, they're doing fabulous things. Check out their website. If you're in the Tampa Bay area, you should go to their fundraiser in October. Their website is angelsagainstabuse.org. Thank you so much for listening. There's more good news out there, and we're going to keep bringing it.